Welcome back, everybody, to a very special From Screen to Shelf episode. As always, every episode, they are like my children. Every single time we do one of these, this is children number like 70 something, but this one is more
It's a
special.
special one.
Very special because it is the prequel to, if you didn't know this, Gabe knows this for sure. He's only heard me say it a million times, to my favorite movie of all time, depending on the mood. If I'm in the mood
I
for
didn't find out
sci-fi.
till like a year ago because I thought 2001 was like your favorite movie of all time, and then you had said it was like Fury Road, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, Fury Road. For those that care, I've talked to people about that in the server. Fury Road is just a magical theatrical experience. It was one of the most magical things ever. I walked in, I just heard that the trailer was really good. And this was a time where I was really getting into movies whenever it was coming out. Went in there, saw Fury Road, and I immediately walked out, went right back to the ticket booth and bought another ticket. And then I went and watched it again. Obviously, I didn't really have priorities or responsibilities on this day. If you could tell where this story is going, I walked out again after that, was mind blown. Then I went to go look to see when the next showing was again, and I saw they had it in 3D. So then I bought it in 3D. I saw it 3 times in one day, 7 times total in theatrical run.
Wow, man, holy crap.
It's one of those movies that fits the core thing, and I'll get into it with this one, where this is a movie that's worth the theatrical experience because of the score. Because the way that the engines rev, like that's not something, unless you pay thousands of dollars for sound equipment at your house, that you can replicate. Junkie XL, like the donut, you just can't, man. Like,
Get the goosebumps when it starts kicking in,
bro. Yes, which is an amazing segue. I'm assuming, Gabe, you want me to go first, right?
I mean, this is your baby, man. I mean, I was excited for Furiosa. I mean, I saw Fury Road, I think twice when I was in theaters. I mean, I really enjoyed Fury Road, but I mean, obviously this is your baby, so I mean, I know you were super stoked for it. So we haven't talked about our thoughts about the movie either. We just saw it last night and just kind of waited for now. So tell me, what did you think about Furiosa and Mad Max? What is it? Saga is what they call it?
Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, yes. I do want to preface that, please, if you're even mildly curious, go support this movie. The box office is not in a good space right now, and they already plan on doing more of these. So if you're even mildly curious or you want to form your own opinion by the time that we wrap up this review, please go form your own opinion by going and seeing it and supporting movies like what George Miller does, which is movies of pure passion. We don't have a filmmaker, really, I would argue, in his realm that could go toe to toe with what he does and how he does it, with keeping the weird and keeping the bizarre while tamed and grounded, and making me feel like this is a future possibility to a degree. George Miller is a one-of-a-kind filmmaker that we don't want this to be a bust because it's not doing well at the box office, and I don't think that's for a good reason. So
we can talk about that at the end because I didn't even know that, so you just brought it up, so we can look up the numbers and see. But yeah, so what did you think about the movie itself?
Oh man, I really think it's probably one of the worst Mad Max movies, honestly. No, I'm just fucking with you.
Oh, I was like, what the hell? No way.
No. Man, the one thing I will just kind of, I wasn't trying to compare it to Fury Road, but it's hard because
it's impossible not to.
It is, because it's a prequel to my favorite movie of all time. So I've got to. And I think while judging it that way, it did give me fair checks and balances, I guess you could say, throughout the movie. But the thing was that I can say that Fury Road edges this out. While they are 2 different movies that I'll get into, and we will cover spoilers towards the end as we wrap up as well. The opening is not nearly as strong, in my opinion. Fury Road is like, here's Max, boom, all right, he's getting the war boys
0
to
100. It just starts.
It just goes, and it never slows down. It has some slow moments, but not much. This one is, while I'll say it to compare it, is half of Fury Road while also having more story in just Furiosa than any of the 4 that came before it. Like, literally, if you take all of the stories from the first 4, like, this still has more, because Mad Max doesn't really have a story outside of Mad Max, and kind of where he got to where he's at. But to preface this, I wasn't necessarily gung-ho about a Furiosa prequel. I was curious. It's set in the world that I love. I just didn't think that it was a character that I really needed expanded on until the movie started going more. It explains so much of what people said it lacks a story for in Fury Road. That's all here. Everything that you had questions about, everything about the Green Place, about Bullet Town or Bullet Farm, Gas Town, everything, it's all here.
World building is here.
all of that's here. Like now, this is probably one of the best prequels I've ever seen because now if you watch this and go into Fury Road, you can't say that nothing's explained to you because it all makes sense. I watched it right after I got out. It makes sense, you know. This one's a perfect blend of giving you a character, a story, and a rather emotional story at that. For just the evolution of a character and a character that's driven by revenge, some absolutely stellar moments. The action oriented scenes, like what we would get with the war rigs and like the Doof Warrior and the War Boys jumping between cars and Fury Road, it feels somehow a little bit more grounded in this one.
Yeah.
Like it felt a little bit more believable
It's
than
not as,
Fury
like,
Road.
grandiose.
Exactly. It's a little bit more like not sturdy is the word I'm looking for, but like just yeah, like it's very finessed, you know,
Mhm.
like it's very fine tuned. He took away what he did out of Fury Road, but I also don't think he was trying to one up Fury Road because Fury
Yeah.
Road is Fury Road. It comes after this, right? So the other thing I want to address, and I will kind of leave it on this outside of just saying I love the movie, I love the ending. I like Furiosa. I think people that are saying that Anna Taylor Joy was miscast, how Charlize Theron had little to no
Dude.
emotion in
Yeah,
Fury
man.
Road. You really didn't have much, and that's not a knock on Charlize. She's a wonderful actress, and she kills it as Furiosa. But it's not hard to be Furiosa. You just got to
Mhm.
pretty much not have emotions. You know what I mean? Like that's all you got to do. Chris Hemsworth, I think, will go down from this performance as one of the best villains of the 2020 so far. I think that
Oh,
he gave
wow.
it an absolutely stellar performance. I loved his accent. I loved how he was driven. I think he had just as much, if not maybe even more, character development throughout the movie than Furiosa. Even I'd even argue
Mhm.
that. I think he was just as much of a main character and a new one at that. And I wouldn't even mind a Dementis spinoff if we could get one more in this world. The one other thing I wanted to address is there's some people lamely saying that this had a lot of CGI. Now, I will preface you can't build a whole fucking bullet farm. Like, it's
Well,
just not practical in
is it
today's
that
world.
it's too much CGI or the CGI was done poorly? Because what I'm hearing is that some of the CGI was done poorly, is what.
See, that's what I want to argue because there were parts where I was noticing it, and there's parts where it looked like it was green screen when in reality, the character that you were looking at, because it was always whenever you had somebody in the middle, like the one
Mhm.
where you had the mini war boy on there. So the one where he's in the tanker and stuff like that,
Yeah.
they had him so focused that it looked a green screen on the back. And I think that was an art choice. I don't think that's bad CGI because it looked great. It looked real in the background. It's usually very clear whenever you see like in superhero movies. I can
Yeah.
tell when that's not an actual layer. There's not actual distance to it.
So you're
It
saying, like, you felt
looks
like it was
polished.
artistic,
I think
choice
it was an
versus.
artistic cinematic, like, camera choice.
I
I
think
really do.
some of it, yeah. I think some of it, to be honest with you, like his dogs. There was a so I noticed there was a scene with the dogs, like where the dogs are jumping out of the cage, and there I noticed, like at least to me, it was like pretty like glaring CGI. I
Interesting.
I agree with you. So, like, I agree. It's like 50-50 for me. I feel like there were, like, a lot of, like, artistic kind of, like, this is just the way the film looks, you know what I mean? There's so many
Yeah.
of those zoom in, like, when they're driving and you see them, like, at the forefront and the camera's just, like, zooming in and you get that, like,
Yeah.
exaggerated background, like, that's an
Yeah.
artistic choice. When I see the dogs jumping out the cage, I'm like, "Oh, that kinda looks like CG." So I'm, like, kinda 50-50 with that.
I didn't even notice that because every time, just to kind of throw this out there, anytime it would focus on things, I was trying to focus on the background. And in that specific scene where they had the people in the circles,
Yeah.
it wanted you to focus on Dementis, but I was trying to focus on everything else in the background. So I probably didn't notice it that much because I was looking
Mm.
behind everything to see if there was something else happening. Because I noticed a lot of that in the movie. There's a lot of art happening in the background. When it
Yeah.
wants you to focus on something, there's a lot going on behind them.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I didn't notice that as well.
Are you seeing this again, by the way?
Yeah, I'm gonna go
I know
see it in
you
IMAX
probably,
on Monday.
yeah. So
Yeah, I'm
maybe
gonna go
you
see
can
it.
double check that. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like that I don't think that's anything that's gonna deter, at least
No.
from the movie.
Yeah, not at all. But, ultimately, yeah, this is a 10 out of 10. Like, I really can't say anything less about it. If you liked Fury Road and your complaint was like, "Yeah, I just wanted more story," then this better be the best action movie you've ever seen.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
There's
got
tons of action
everything.
in it.
Yeah, and it's great and it's well done. But now the question that people may have for me, because some people were asking me in the Discord, is do I like it more than Fury Road? I don't know. Like I've seen Fury Road
Really? No
hundreds of
way.
times. I don't know, like, because the thing is like it has more in some departments going for it. Like I can genuinely give it that, but also at the same time, it's not a 2 hour long car chase that just has me gripping the edge of my seat and just excitement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
So it's
hard
just they're just two
to.
different movies.
Yeah, they're 2 different movies, but it's also, like, impossible not to compare them, especially with, and we'll get into spoilers with, like, how this kinda transitions into Fury Road. Because, like,
Mhm.
honestly, you could technically kinda watch these movies back to back,
Oh,
and it could
easily.
be, like, one just giant story, you know what I mean? So,
You'd
like,
have a
it
blast.
yeah, I know if they ever did that, you'd be there first day to do a
Yeah.
back-to-back screening.
Yeah. Cancel
But,
all
like,
plans.
I mean, I'll say this, man. I really, really liked this movie. I it didn't hit a 10 out of 10 for me. It wasn't
Interesting,
Fury Road
okay.
level for me. So, like, uh, let me say the things I loved about it. So Anya Taylor-Joy, freaking phenomenal. She's phenomenal in everything that she does. And I feel like,
Agreed.
honestly, there were points in the story where she sounded like Charlize Theron. Like, I felt
Mhm.
like you can close your eyes and hear her talking. Like, it was kind of weird how the voice was so similar, but she did a fantastic job. I agree with you with Chris Hemsworth. I think he did a phenomenal job too. Like, I was kind of worried, like, looking at the trailer, that he kind of looked like Thor with the red cape. I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys could have gone with a different look, but
The bigger
I
nose.
yeah, I mean, they gave him the bigger nose, the teddy bear. Like, I mean, there's a lot of, like, little subtle hints at his character that he has, like, a good backstory that would be interesting to kind of delve into if they ever
Mhm.
wanted to explore that. So, I mean, the characters are great. The set design. I mean, George Miller knows what he's doing with action sequences. I mean,
Yeah.
all the action sequences are top notch. I would say my only issues I had with the movie are, some of it's just kind of pacing, like what you said at the beginning. So you really don't get Anya Taylor-Joy. This isn't really kind of a spoiler. I've heard a lot of
Halfway.
reviews talking about this. I would say like a third of the way through. It's like a good 45
It's
minutes to
at
an hour.
it's almost at halfway mark. I counted it, man.
Is it?
It's
I gotta watch
she's
it
in it
again.
very yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, you
like, so
focus a lot on
you're
her as a
yeah, which
growing
it's not a bad, it's not a bad play at all, but I feel like you could, because this movie's, I think, like 2.5 hours long.
228.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I felt like you coulda cut maybe, like, 10, 15 minutes from her growing up.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the stuff, there's kind of like this kind of love interest that comes into the mix. I felt like that was kind of, it wasn't really necessary in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, and then just some of the CGI stuff. I feel like I said, it's 50-50. I think that the CGI stuff, or the way this one was shot, it's so clean, and I really
Yeah.
liked the way Fury Road was, like, super grungy, kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just felt like I was, like, there in the wasteland. This looks more of kind of like almost like Denis Villeneuve if he
Yeah,
did, like,
yeah, I can
a
see that. Yeah,
the
yeah, I can see
portrait
that.
stuff. So I was debating yesterday after I got out of it. I was like, I don't know if I want to give it like an 8.5 or 9. I give it like a 9 out of 10, just because I
That's fair.
honestly, it's a great freaking movie. I would probably just trim some of it down.
I can see
It's
that.
just more pacing issues with me. And I will
Yeah.
say, I mean, we got to get into spoiler talk. I mean, that's probably where we can really kind of express some of, like, what we're talking about, but also the final confrontation she has with Dementis, which I
Strong.
really enjoyed. I actually liked it, but I feel like the lead up to it could have been executed a little bit better. But I mean, it's a great movie, man. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'd give it like a solid 9 out of 10. I really liked it, but it didn't top Fury Road for me. I felt like this movie, they're so different, dude. This one is like more
They really are.
story, and the
Mhm.
like Fury Road is just, I mean, you have hints of story, right? You have like hints of a background there
Told
with
through the action.
Furiosa. Yeah, it's told through the action and kind of like, their behavior. So it's almost unfair to compare them, but it's like
Yeah.
difficult not to, you know what I mean? Just because they happen so closely together.
Yeah.
But yeah, solid 9 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed it. I had a really good time with it. If he cut maybe 10 to 15 minutes of it, I think I maybe would have liked it. Probably give it a 10 out of 10. But
Yeah.
those were my only, like, critical complaints, which I guess would lead us into the spoiler talk.
Spoilers
Um,
in 3, 2, 1, commence.
um, the final confrontation with Dementis, dude, I loved that. I loved and hated it at the same time. I loved the
I loved it.
dialogue between him. I loved
Mhm.
the dialogue. I thought that was fantastic. Just the whole theme of, I'm not going to give you what you want, and this isn't going to play out the way that you want it. A lot of revenge tales. It's just kind of like, the character gets their revenge at the end, and it's, that's that. And with this, it's kind of like she still lives with, all the trauma and the tragedy that she's gone through. And
Mhm.
it kind of beautifully kind of blends into Fury Road, because in that movie she's still seeking like redemption, which she talks about all the time, right? She's like she's looking for the redemption. She still doesn't have it by the time she's in Fury Road. So
Yeah.
I felt like they handled that really well. I just wanted a more climactic, like I don't know if I'd say like a chase or whatever that led to that final dialogue between the two of them because I felt
Interesting.
like that was kind of like it was just her following Dementis and a few motorcycles.
So
I
I guess I can make an argument for it
Mhm.
because you had so many confrontations, especially with Bullet Farm and stuff like that, as it was happening. That could even be considered a major final conflict because that's how we
Yeah.
get the part where she loses her arm.
Mhm.
Right after that. But then it's also a callback to what was probably my least favorite part. I was enjoying it, but that would be the part I cut out the most is whenever they're sniping the people in the desert at the beginning. I think that was dragged
Oh,
out for way too long,
really? I kinda liked it.
I mean, I liked it, but the thing was is, like, the constant stop and go and, like, "Oh, is that the
Mhm.
Thunder Bike?" It's like,
Mhm.
you coulda gotten a lot more straight to the point, you know what I
You're
mean?
right.
And
Yeah,
it
you're
was
right.
cool, but I also think the ending was a callback to that, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So, she isolated them, she was sniping them out, and she isolated him, so he
Mhm.
had nobody. She knew that it was just them because of the people that she took out and where she drove him to. She
Yeah.
knew which way that he took. I found that almost more powerful. The one part I did find kinda corny, man, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit, but I was like, "It's kinda cool," but when they were like, "She's the 5th horseman of the apocalypse," like, right
Oh,
before she
I thought that
goes to
was cool. I didn't
yeah, I was just like, "That's kinda corny," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
It's super forced in there, but I thought it sounded
yeah.
cool at the same time. Like, I agree with
Yeah.
you there. It's a
Yeah.
weird piece of dialogue. The history man is kinda interesting, you know what I mean? It's like he exaggerates things, but then he also, like, obviously gives you facts about the real world and how it was, but then he says
Mhm.
stupid shit like that's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so over the top. I mean, I
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. It is I could see how the ending is a callback to, like, the beginning of the movie because it is a
Mhm.
very kinda similar showdown, but it's just like, when you see Dementis riding into a sandstorm, I'm like, "Oh, cool, we're gonna get them riding into a sandstorm together," and just kinda fades to black, and then all of a sudden she's there, and it's like, "Oh, you found me," and it's like, "Oh, man, there was, like, a good
A good
15-minute,
potential.
10-minute yeah, a good potential sequence there that you could have done and maybe cut 15 minutes from the beginning." To me, it was just kind of like a small pacing thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I see
that
what you're
that
saying with
honestly
that.
would knock that point off for me. If that pacing thing, if I could kind of edit the movie just a little bit, I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. That's very, very fair. What was your favorite scene in the entire movie?
Oh, dude, that's a
I liked
tough
the
one.
ending where, like, he's growing as a tree. I think that's
Oh,
just so unique, man.
well, I thought that was unique in the sense that it kinda keeps with the mythos of what this universe is, where it's like, you don't know what the actual story or legend is, right? Where the guy says,
Yeah.
like, there's some story people say she shot at him, some people say that she tortured him on the tree like her mom was tortured, and then it's like then the tree thing, it's like you don't know what happened, which
Yeah.
I kinda liked that approach. But my favorite scene, dude, I mean, it has to be probably it is I hate saying it, it's like the Fury Road scene, man, where they're on the rig, and then there's what do they call the propeller thing in the back?
Oh,
Um
like the pendulum almost like thing?
yeah,
I thought that
I
was a
just
gorgeous shot once it sucked in the tail on there,
oh,
man.
dude, yeah, and then the parachute's kinda hanging off of it.
Yeah.
It just got really I think what amped it up for me was because you didn't know Furiosa was underneath her with her motorcycle,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And there's that one guy that goes underneath, and then, like, all of a sudden, she's under there, and I'm like, "Oh, crap," like, this changes the
Yeah.
scene completely, and she's such a badass where, like, the dynamite's underneath it, right? And in every other
She just
movie
yeah.
yeah, every other movie, you see people throwing the dynamite or, "What am I gonna do with this?" She's so bad, she just cuts it and saves it for
Yeah.
later, and it's like that was probably my favorite scene of the whole movie. And also, I mean, but there's so many, dude. I mean, even the raid at I think that was Bullet Town, I think with the crane and the sniping sequence with the missile
Where
launcher and
she was
everything.
sniping? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that was Bullet Farm.
that was a great sequence too.
Yeah. I thought he was great in that, man, like, the way she had them pinned down and everything.
Yeah.
Man, it was devastating. I kinda wish it would've gotten a little bit more graphic at times instead of it just being, like, her arm hanging there. You know what
I
I
can see
mean?
that.
It's like that would probably be the only thing I wish it would have done is, like, it felt like there were cuts made, and maybe even that scene, like, where they go into the desert, maybe they did have a chase scene, and due to cut time, they
Mhm.
told him to cut it. You know what I mean? Because there were sometimes I felt like there was maybe a little bit in there. that got
Yeah.
cut. Not to the point where it was distracting, but it was just like some weird like fade to black, you know,
Yeah.
or like editing choices. But I'd
How did
have to say, go for it.
oh
What were you
oh,
gonna
no,
say?
I was gonna say, like, in regards to that, I mean, how did you feel about the montage about the 40-year war? 'Cause I felt like that was another one where it's like, man, I wanna kinda see more of this, like, war playing out. I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have that much time to see it, but it's like it's just a quick montage of, like, the casualties of war, and I kinda actually wanted to see more of the war taking place.
Yeah, because the thing is, man, is like I don't think George Miller realizes the world he has at his hands sometimes, man. Because like there's no story. I mean, you have some story. Like, I mean, the story can be summarized in 10 seconds in the original Mad
Mhm.
Max. Man pisses off the wrong people, which fun fact, the original villain from the first one is who plays Immortan Joe in Fury
Monjo,
Road.
yeah. But this one's
Yeah.
not that actor
Yeah,
passed
because
away, right?
he passed away. Yep, rest in peace. So then he pisses them off. They go after his family, kill his wife and daughter, and now
Mhm.
he's mad. So now he's Mad Max.
Max, yeah.
Then you go to then you go to Road
Mhm.
Warrior, and then he's just a legend. It just
Yeah.
jumps straight to him being a legend, and that's all it is after that. That's
Yeah.
all of Mad Max in a nutshell. It's like I said, this has more story, but I don't think he realizes that he has like a Fallout type world here,
Mhm.
which Mad Max is Google it, is an inspiration for Fallout, just like an old school series called Wasteland, was an
Yeah.
inspiration for it. So Mad Max has a lot of potential to just be more, and it just sucks. I wish I could take away like 20 years, make him 20 years younger, and let him make some more movies and give him a few $100 million to just keep feeding my Mad Max addiction. But it's just with
Who
the way that
knows,
it's
man? It might
performing right now.
happen. Yeah, so
I
what
don't know,
tell me
man.
about that because, like, you had mentioned that at the beginning. I haven't looked at the box office numbers for this at all, so you had mentioned something that kinda surprised me at the beginning of the video that this is, like, performing poorly?
Yeah. So it opened up. It's the anticipations domestically. I go to
Mhm.
our box office because they have some interesting strategies on how they kind of gauge things sometimes, and they're pretty
Mhm.
smart people for the most part over there. So it opened up to I think less than $4 million in previews, which I guess is like super
Yeah, I'm
super
seeing
bad.
that. 3.5 million, yeah.
Yeah, 3.5 million, so it's estimated to do about 35-40 million domestically. So, over Memorial Day weekend, Garfield
Oof.
is essentially flopping, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless it gets a huge second wind internationally, which happens. Movies have been saved by foreign markets and
And
international markets
this
multiple
one,
times.
I can see that. I could be wrong. I could see
Yeah,
that because I've heard of George Miller and the response like Fury Road had, where like
yeah,
and kinda going back to what you said, where it's such a simple story, but it has like all these like universal archetypes to it where like every culture can kind of pick something apart from it.
mhm.
So I can see that maybe happening with Mad Max, but that is kind of discouraging hearing it only made $4 million on Thursday, man. I thought it would have made like 10, 15 million like opening night.
Agreed. Because I know a lot of people that love Fury Road.
Mhm.
It's a very successful movie where a lot of people, I'm not saying the whole world's seen it, but a lot of people have seen it. It's
Yeah.
a classic from the 2010s. And a lot of people hold it not in the highest regard like I do, but like you bring it up and people are like, hell yeah, I've seen that movie. That movie was great. You know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
that movie was good. Or that movie wasn't for me. Like I had one friend at the time that was like, man, that movie had no story. It sucked. Bro, what? Sometimes it's not all about a story, man.
Yeah.
You know? But, yeah, so it's like, I'm just kinda curious, like, maybe that's a whole episode that we can do. We've already talked about the state of cinema, but I think that it's finally here, man.
Yeah,
Like,
dude,
if this
that's
movie's gonna
concerning.
Yeah,
Because to me, this
exactly.
was like if you asked me 2
It's the
weeks ago, I'm
first
like, "This is gonna,
blockbuster.
like, yeah, tear up the box office." That's what I would have
Yeah,
said 2 weeks ago. So the fact
yeah,
that you're saying only 45 million, do we know the budget for this movie? Have we looked at
160.
shit,
Yeah,
man.
no. It's gotta do at least 400 million to even get somewhat of a sequel, possibly,
Oh,
because they wanna
lord.
do more,
Yeah.
and because George Miller, like I said, is not getting younger, he's a full-time doctor outside of that. I don't know if you knew that about George Miller.
No, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he's a
He's an
full I'm not sure
MD?
if Yeah, I'm sure he's a surgeon, I wanna say. That's why
What
he
the
takes,
fuck?
like,
I
the
didn't even know
safety.
that.
Yeah, that's why he takes, like, practical effects very seriously and, like, doing it all on there because, like, he wants people to be safe. That's why, like, it was kinda crazy to see all those stunts. Like, the stunt workers like, "Aren't you a doctor?" Like,
Oh, wow, I
It's
didn't
a
know that.
crazy story about him. He's got immense talent,
I've seen
but
him in interviews, and he seems like a super nice guy, like, just super
yeah, very humble.
humble and polite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
What'd you feel about that
discouraging.
cameo? On a more
Which
positive
one?
note. The cameo.
Oh, the Mad Mad well, we're in spoiler territory already,
Yeah,
like, the
yeah.
Mad Max one?
Yeah. That was
Yeah,
kinda
yeah.
cool.
I liked it. I mean, it's going back to Road Warrior with him eating. I think he was eating a can of dog food,
Dog
right?
food. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's going
Yeah.
back to Road Warrior. I saw that. I thought it was pretty cool. And it's like,
Yeah.
did he pick? I'm guessing he picked up Furiosa and brought her to the
To the
Citadel
Citadel.
at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
thought that
just
was
want
kind of
more Tom
cool.
Hardy, man. I wouldn't even be opposed if it means I get a Dementis in that 15-year gap, that they had after going to the Citadel to, her
Yeah,
reckoning and redemption. I'd be okay with that, man. I loved his performance. Some people
I
said his
thought he
voice
did
was
great.
annoying and over the top. There was somebody in the server that was saying that. It's like, dude, I don't know if you know, but he's actually Australian. No, he's already got a strong accent.
Isn't
He's
he from
talk
the UK?
No, he's Australian, bro. Chris
Tom
Hemsworth.
Hardy's Australian? No way.
Oh,
Oh,
no, no, I'm
I
talking
thought
about
you were
Chris
talking about
Hemsworth.
my
Yeah,
bad. Yeah,
no.
yeah. Yeah, he's Australian. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Tom Hardy's got a strong British
Yeah,
accent,
yeah,
man.
yeah, for
It
sure.
scared me the first time I heard it. I was like, "That's not Tom Hardy. That's not Bane." But, yeah, no, Chris Hemsworth, he's Australian, and it comes through, he typically tries to cast people, from Australia, at least to a
Mhm.
degree, like, for extras and stuff, because that's where he's from as well.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
So, yeah.
if he does another one, I'd love to see some because I was reading something about like maybe he would do another one. It's like another prequel to Fury Road where it's like Mad Max right before Fury Road. But to be
Yeah,
honest, I'd want to see something after, man. You know what I mean? I kind of want to see
agree.
where he goes.
Older.
Right?
Give me
Yeah,
older Tom and
older
Charlize.
Tom or just what happens right after the Citadel. I want to see where he's going, what he's doing, and I'm kind of tired of the not tired, but like I don't want to see more prequels. Prior to Fury Road, give me something after.
Yeah,
Um, that I
I
mean
can see
that,
that.
but and I will say just because I forgot to mention the other scene I did freaking love that I fucking thought actually, you know what? I will take that back. I think this is my favorite scene is the freaking scene where Dementis first goes to the Citadel and they have him pick the war boy
Oh,
and he
yeah,
just
yeah.
like launches down and then it's just this freaking chaos, like this battle that
Just
just rings out. And yeah, they're just like, oh dude, that was
yeah,
so fucking badass. I was like, this is cool. This is like really,
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, that
Um,
was a good one.
yeah.
I don't think I said my favorite scene. Mine was actually the flare gun.
Oh, the flare gun
Uh,
scene.
yeah, there was just something cool about it, and then,
Like
then his beard just dyed red for, like, the
yeah,
next
the
30
whole
minutes in his
yeah,
hair.
dude, and I mean, he keeps the cape on too, which is like red
Yeah,
the whole movie. Yeah, I
yeah,
thought that was kind of interesting.
yeah,
It's so cool, man, the world that he's built and all the weird things that you can do with it. You know what I mean? It's like
mhm,
I, he can. I mean, assuming that Warner Brothers lets him do another one after the way this one performs, but I mean, I feel like you could do so much with this.
yeah, agreed.
How would you
Yeah, true.
feel before we sign off? Because I see this with Warner Brothers sometimes, dude. I could totally see them be like, well, this isn't making money theatrically. We're gonna do an HBO series. How would you
I
feel
don't know,
about
man.
that?
I don't know. I don't think George Miller would be okay with that, man. I don't think he would do that,
I
you
know
know?
that.
Yeah.
I mean, Warner Brothers is obviously the one that's gonna make that decision.
I mean, the thing is, like, if they gave George Miller full creative control, they let him do what he wants, and they kinda
Mhm.
own up to it being, "Hey, it's a bad box office right now. It's not because it was a bad movie."
Yeah.
Because this movie, if it had released 2 years after Fury Road, I think we'd be talking a $500-600 million box
Oh, for
office
sure,
easily.
100%.
Very easily.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Very healthy, very clamoring for it. Like, I
Mhm.
was itching because this movie was announced not long after Fury Road came out, within the year, because the
Mhm.
game came out and everything. I mean, anything Mad Max I'll take just as long as it was George Miller. I mean, I would trust somebody, like, reputable, like, I doubt Denis would ever do it, but, like, somebody like that, that shows
Yeah.
care to, like, already existing IPs and stuff and original content. If George Miller were I hope he lives to be a million years old and makes a million more Mad Max movies, but
Same.
like if he isn't with us much longer, I don't want it to ever be touched. I don't want it to be touched
Yeah.
by anybody else other than George Miller, realistically. It's his
Someone
baby.
For sure, 100%. I think I only asked that because someone I was reading. I think I was reading a review, like it was an article or a video. I don't remember, but someone had mentioned it's like which we didn't even talk about. Surprisingly,
Mm.
the narrative with this movie it's actually split up in chapters.
Yeah,
So,
5.
like, yeah, 5 chapters which was pretty interesting, and actually really really enjoyed that the way he kind of split it up like with the
Mhm.
chapters. And I'm like, you know, could that work out as a show like episodically? I obviously wouldn't advocate for it personally. I want more theatrical releases, but with the way things are right now, it's a possibility, dude. I just saw that damn Dune TV show trailer or something like that came out a few days ago.
Yeah, whatever it was, where it's like 400 years before Paul.
Yeah.
It's like, who asked for that?
No one did. No
Yeah.
one.
And I'd even be okay on a completely side tangent. I'd be okay if they had something around that time. Like, hey, here's what the background characters were up to while Paul was doing
Mhm.
this. But like, I don't need original content like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, unless it's adapted from the books, which are legendary, I don't
Mhm.
need it. And
Yeah.
I think that's what they fail to understand. And I think you just have these people, and I'm really hoping Furiosa doesn't get treated like that. Like, I hope it gets a second win on video on demand, or I
I
don't know
can
how
see
those are
that
made.
happening, dude. I will
Yeah.
say I was telling my buddy this, we were talking about Furiosa earlier today, and I asked him, I'm like, "Do you think this is a movie that?" Because some people are loving it, some people are thinking it's kind of just like, okay.
Mhm.
Is this a movie like 5 or 10 years from now we're gonna look back on and say like this is actually like a classic? I
Yeah.
can kind of see that happening. Like, I mean, you already give it a 10 out of 10, but like
Mhm.
for me, maybe 5 years from now, I may play this again and be like, you know what, this is actually like freaking perfect the way it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Mhm.
I can totally see that happening with this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's difficult to kind of pinpoint and explain, but it could be one of those movies that just kind of came out at the wrong time,
Very
financially,
true.
critically, whatever it is. I mean, and this is doing pretty well critically, I think, right?
Mhm. It's got like an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes for those that it
Okay.
matters to,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
isn't
I
bad at
mean, I
all.
don't
That's really good.
I don't trust Rotten
Yeah.
Tomatoes when they
Yeah.
give what was it, Indiana Jones 5, was it like 80% or something? 70%?
I mean, it's got
Get
an
the hell out of
A
here.
cinema score, I think, which I
Okay.
know a lot of people gauge that, which is like
Yeah.
verified ticket buyers and stuff, and like audience reviews and stuff, which is honestly nice. So I don't really know how that's gauged, but I know it's a big deal for like cinema ratings and stuff. But
Yeah.
not always. Like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes had a B, which is usually considered like movies in that category bomb.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I think Kingdom is doing really well. I mean, it's just I just think it's going to be a rough time to kind of gauge it or how they're going to put their budgets out there because like Mad Max, you could get away with like a lot less on a less budget. Like, honestly, I'll be realistic. I think this movie could have been made for about $30 million less, but I'm also not like a set designer. I'm not the fucking
No, for sure.
director. I don't know the
Work in
budgets, but
finance. I mean,
there's something in my soul that feels like that's true, you
you
know?
can cut down on some. I mean, which he already did. We mentioned that he cut down on some of the kind of grandiose nature of Fury Road, but I feel like even if he did stuff more practically, that he could have
Yeah.
maybe had a smaller budget. But I mean,
Yeah.
regardless, maybe we'll do that for the next episode. I know we're talking about doing Mad Max or State of Cinema, but we'll I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll talk about it. But I mean, nevertheless, I think it sounds like we both really enjoyed this movie. I know we're waiting to see what Will thinks of it. Um, but I had a
Get the
blast
real
with this,
thoughts
dude.
soon.
Yeah, we'll get the Will thoughts soon, guys, and let us know what you thought of the movie down below. I'm just happy Chase he got his movie. It was a 10 out of
Yep.
10 because I was curious, dude. I was like, I wonder what Chase thought about this movie because it is so different. I'm like, were you just
Yeah.
like disappointed, crying, or were you like just
I
like
always love
thrilled?
different, man. I don't want the same thing. I've got the same
Yeah,
thing already. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I don't need a sequel of the
And
same
you
thing
saw it
or a
in
prequel.
Atmos, right? I'm assuming.
No, I went IMAX first. It's the
Oh,
superior
really?
format. No, I
W-
went I went Dolby. I'm gonna
Oh
go,
man.
IMAX on Monday.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think this was filmed in IMAX though. That's kind of refrained me from seeing it in IMAX, but let me know how it is, dude. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure it's still going to be a blast, so
big old screen.
um yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys for listening. Stay tuned for more State of the Cinema Mad Max stuff. I'm sure we'll be talking about it soon, and we appreciate you guys for watching.
Thank you, everybody.